On this week's Taking the Hill, take a journey with us from Maine to America's most hallowed ground and meet the man whose single act of patriotism has sparked a national institution.
I think it hits a nerve with so many people. People don't want their loved ones to be forgotten.
Hello, I'm Patrick Murphy, and welcome to this special edition of Taking the Hill. Today, we'll devote our entire program to Wreaths Across America, an organization that does extraordinary work. We have veterans in our country. By an act of Congress, today is National Wreaths Across America Day. And that long line of trucks you see over there, they're the men and women of Wreaths Across America entering Arlington National Cemetery. Each year, for the last 23 years, they have come to Arlington to place remembrance wreaths on the markers of veterans who are buried in America's most hallowed ground. This year, tens of thousands of volunteers will place more than 700,000 wreaths in all 50 states, all to fulfill the organization's mission, to remember the men and women who gave their lives for our country, to honor them, and to teach the next generation of Americans something about the price of freedom. It's a story about a small group of individuals can make a huge impact on all of us. And it all starts with one man in the far reaches of down to East Maine. When you're in the wreath business like Morrill Worcester, it's all about the balsam. And the almost 3 million pounds of it needed to make the wreaths all has to be cut by hand. It's called tree tipping, cutting from the newest growth from the branches without damaging the tree.
What you want is at least 3 years of growth if you can. See, right there, see, you're tipping it here. You always leave enough green though, so that it's going to come back. 3 years time, you come back here and you'll tip the same piece again.
Inside the manufacturing plants, workers play a game of beat the clock as they rush to make hundreds of thousands of wreaths in just weeks. That's just part of the challenge. Those wreaths still need to be delivered from rural Maine to their locations all over the country. And for that, Wreaths Across America gets a huge helping hand from America's trucking industry, with truckers donating their time, equipment, and money to deliver the wreaths to all 50 states. The effort is spearheaded by the Truckload Carriers Association.
About 1 in 13 people employed by the trucking industry, and that surprises some people. So your typical truck driver is probably one of your neighbors, and you may not know what he does, but a lot of people don't realize the emotion isn't just for us that are connected here, but I was in the convoy several years back, and our lead driver, the first truck coming through into Arlington, got on the CB and said, "May have some safety issues here, I'm having trouble seeing." He was crying so hard. As a truck driver, when he pulled into Arlington National Cemetery and the military was lined up saluting him and the other truck drivers, it was something that he'll never forget, and he continues to talk about that, and it touches every one of us that were on that channel listening. It's a tough career, and having that opportunity to be perceived in such an honorable way, it touched all of us, and I think he spoke for every one of us because we were all having some safety issues, getting the Kleenexes out and making sure we could see out the windshield. But it's not what you may have thought about the typical truck driver.
The Worcesters created a nonprofit organization to allow what had been a family tradition to grow into a national institution. Today, Wreaths Across America has a much bigger footprint, but it's still headquartered in tiny Columbia Falls, and it still seeks to teach the value of freedom, one story at a time.
I love what we do at Wreaths Across America because families take their kids out and they touch something living, and they give this gift and they read a name and they make a connection. It's a hand and a heart and a story and a real connection. You know, as near as we can tell, about 600,000 people will go into 1,000 cemeteries all over the country and read the names on those graves and teach their kids. You take people one at a time and they get it, and then they pass it on to somebody else. And we don't lose many people because once you do this, you get it, and you get how important it is.